Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night. We're broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I'm your host, Don Yazzie. With me, my co-host, Darren Yazzie. Here he is.
Hey, what's going on? We have another good episode tonight, and it's actually part 2. So let's give another warm welcome back.
Another warm round of a welcome for Korey, Mr. Korey Curley. If you guys haven't seen him on the first episode, you guys should really go back and take a look at it because it was really good information, some good stories. So without further ado, here's Korey Curley, everybody.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing out there? How do I sound?
Welcome back.
Oh, you sound good.
I got a new mic. So. The last video, that mic was I was using the laptop microphone, and it was a little blurred out. So this one I had to go get splurge to get another microphone.
I know, Darren, he finally got a laptop too, so now we can finally see him.
Yeah, see all the pores and everything that they're pop right.
I know, yeah. 4K, see all my wrinkles.
Right.
Hey, Darren, looks like you got enough grease to make some fry bread right there. Let's get some.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Saturation will take the grease away.
Real quick, let's say what's up to everybody. Oh, it's you. Your Doppler gang. Wait, what's it called? Gang Doppler website for the first
game. Yeah. I went on there and I put that first episode, the website on there, the link, so they could just copy it and paste it if they want to go watch that first one.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Good information right there. Go back on the earlier episode. Korey Curley, what's it called? Ground Zero, Werewolves, and oh man, it slipped my mind the title. But yeah, it's one of the top views on Spotify and YouTube so far. So everybody is listening to that good information right there. Good storytelling. Good job on your behalf, Korey. Juan Coachell, let's go. Ready for another great episode. You betcha. Kurt W75. Greetings, Don and Darren. Hope you fellas are doing good. Yes, we are. Kurt W75. Mr. Curley.
What's up, Kurt?
What's up? Owl 13. Hello. What's up, Owl 13? Let's see. Dreamweaver. Hello, guys. What's up, Dreamweaver?
Dreamweaver.
Yep. And before we start the show, I'd like to acknowledge it's Native American Awareness Month. So happy Native American Awareness Month to you two gentlemen that is here and all of you listening on the airwaves. Thank you for joining
Indigenous
us.
Month. See a native, shake his hand, give him, what is that Vaughn guy say? You see a native, give him a squash or a piece of meat or a steak. Yeah, that guy's pretty funny. I like
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah. Man, that guy's hilarious, bro. But it is Native American Awareness Week, or a month actually, right? Indigenous. To all you indigenous beautiful creatures out there, this is your go-to for your paranormal right here. So
oh yeah.
All right.
Yep. Without further ado, Mr. Curley, we'll hand off the mic to you.
All right, let me go into what you guys all missed. At the end of the last episode, we started talking for another 2 hours. We talked about everything from the traditional way to the Christian way, to stories that linked everything together, and it was 2 hours of interesting topics that we talked about. That's what led to this episode too, is that they asked and want go in a little deeper about that. So I just decided to come back and talk again on it. So I'm going to start off with some of you guys. I don't think there's probably maybe 3 people in here that were from the very first show. But I'll go into a little deeper on, my past, and explain a little more, because it all leads to, how everything is. So the first thing is I'm Kiani. My mom's Kiani. My Che, which is my grandfather on my mom's side, is Ashi, Salt, and I don't know my father. So we, as Native Americans, we always start off with our clan. I was raised in Flagstaff. I'm 52 years old. Quality control for a power line company, and I'm actually a journeyman lineman. So a lot of that too is we were raised in Flagstaff. In our culture, I'm actually the oldest twin, which a lot of natives, Navajos, will sit there and think, well, what the oldest twin, what does that mean? What it boils down to is, for me, it was important because the oldest twin is considered monster slayer in our culture. And how it started is changing women. When this all sort of started as one of our creation stories of changing women, which was the twins' mom in the story. She had the 2 twins. Their son was the dad, so they never knew their dad. So when they grew up, there was a lot of evil. They actually wanted to go and find their dad. So then, some of the animals told them who their dad was. So they went to go look for their dad. And while they were there, the son tried to kill him. They actually, proved that they were his kids. So then he gave them the gifts, lightning and stuff like that, armor, stuff to defeat all of the, the evil in the world, basically the monsters. That's where the monster slayer comes from. So they went back to the earth, and they actually end up killing off a lot of the monsters on the lands. And from that part, for me it was important. It was important because it was actually, I was raised Christian, and then after high school I actually changed because the lessons were, being a Christian in a Navajo church. Our church was 4 hours long. So we had 2 hours of Navajo and 2 hours of English. And it was long. So we went to a Sunday evening. So it sort of burned me out. But, from that experience right there, I went into traditional when I met my first wife. And from there, it was the traditional way, Navajo traditional. It actually, it made me think of it in a different way. Because a lot of the ceremonies I did go to, they would tell you, well, we have to pray for you differently. And it was different from the normal people. So there was a different way of introducing me and dealing with the issues I had. A lot of us Navajos would go to a medicine man when we had problems. You see signs, omens out there, coyotes, owls, anything that wasn't normal was an omen. A lot of times in things you see it over and over, then you would end up going to something bad will happen, then you end up going to a medicine man. So that's about how you went to go see a medicine man. Then from there, you would go find one and look for. You try to figure out, what he would try to figure out what the problem was. So then when he found out the problem, then he would actually, take care of it, pray of it, take care of it, and you were done. So that's how it happens all, finding a medicine man, doing all these signs and everything. Some people, major things happen to, then they'll go to there and they'll try to get it fixed. But it was always in a traditional way. You went to the medicine man and he talked to the gods to try to heal you and try to fix everything. Hold on, let me get another drink here.
Oh yeah. Tomorrow's Monday. Make sure you stay hydrated, everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it started all in that. So it goes into the traditional way of trying to, when they would pray for me, it was actually always different. Back a long time ago, 30 years ago, because I was a Christian till I was up to 18. Then I did a Native American church for about 30 years, and I went back to Christianity. In the Native American church, back when I was drinking back in my 20s, I went to a ceremony one time, and one of the medicine man was telling me that as well. He goes, you're going to end up committing suicide. And he was talking about the issues and the problems and all this stuff. And another medicine woman stopped him and says, no, you're monster slayer. You're one of the oldest twins. And she said, I don't even think you can ever achieve that suicide. She's like, your path is set. Your path is different from other people. And which, it gives you a bigger head of like, oh, wow, what's going on here? So it was always different in that way. I always thought of myself. So little things I started, I was always worrying about, what I prayed for or how I prayed. Because in the Christian way, they tell you, oh yeah, you're praying to an idol or a false god. But, being from Christian to traditional, my actually prayer started off, I'm praying to the maker of the human and the earth, Jesus and God. That's who I used to talk to, how I used to start my prayers, because I didn't want to be praying to a wrong God. And so that was always on my mind. As I went on, I started seeing more and more things in the traditional way. The traditional was really powerful. Some of the stuff that you've seen, I know some of the Navajos in here. I don't know about other Native American tribes, but yeah, it's really, if you go to a medicine man that knows quite a bit, there's some stuff that you see that it's like, you're like, wow, this is amazing. And there's times where I would get out of a ceremony and I'm like, man, this is like, it reminds me of like Harry Potter. It was that dramatic where it was just like you seen something happen and it was amazing and it scared the piss out of you and you didn't want to be part of it. And that's what I felt like a lot of times coming out of these ceremonies, because they would do some crazy stuff, because a lot of it was battling witchcraft. And, this show is about witchcraft. So I have to sort of, relate it with me and what I'm trying to tell. So, like a lot of people think, oh yeah, what is witchcraft? Because you have witchcraft in the Native American way, you have witchcraft in the Lagana way, which is, Lagana is actually white for the people out there that don't know Navajo. They're similar, but they're different. They're similar, but they're different. In the Navajo way, a lot of it is like the medicines will tell me everything ran off of DNA. That's how the gods knew who you were, because you could go into a ceremony or you could even take a picture or take something of that personal value. Their DNA is on it, and that's how they knew who to help or who to fix. The same way with the witchcraft, they have to have something of you that has your DNA, your hair, your fingernails, blood, or anything like that. And then they would use it as the opposite, the way a ceremony went. Everything was opposite. Witchcraft is opposite of the good way. So they would do it opposite, then try to do everything. And then this is where your skinwalker came in. Your skinwalker came in and took that and took it into somewhere to bury it. A lot of people think that skinwalker is some Bigfoot in Arkansas. It ain't no Bigfoot. There ain't no Bigfoot in Arkansas. The skinwalker is actually the Navajo witch, is what my grandfather used to call it, the Navajo witch. And so he was the person that actually did the witchcraft But so there was bad ones and there was ones, but the ones that used to change into different animals, those were the skinwalkers that we're talking about. And they actually did a lot of taking stuff to, across the reservation to bury it and do all that stuff. And they would actually make their rounds, checking on all the stuff they did. But it came from somebody who would actually want to have some witchcraft done. So they would pay them to do it. The Navajo witch, he wouldn't know. He doesn't know the people. He did it because he has to do it, or he did it for money. So this is sort of it's almost like a little business there that they do stuff. And a lot of times when I turn traditional, it was a lot of trying to stop things, from other families. So it's all revolves around jealousy. If someone's jealous, they want your truck, they want your wife, they want your land, they want your animals. It started from that. They want your clothes. So then someone who was jealous went to the Navajo witch and then paid them, and then they did it. So they use the DNA to actually get that and make that little bundle and then go bury it somewhere. So when they did that, then you start seeing those omens. You start seeing those omens of like a coyote crossing, certain directions, the traditional ways. There's a lot of different omens out there, little different signs, and those little signs would tell you there's something going on, that you need to go. Owls, anything like that, snakes, anything that traveled at night, or any serpent or anything like that was, a bad thing, except for the horny toad. Horny toad was actually a good omen for Native Americans or Navajos.
Especially an owl too, like when an owl chases you and attacks you.
Yeah.
And I heard a bat too, like when a bat attacks you and it bites the back of your neck. I seen that happen to my grandpa.
Yeah, and anything that travels at night, that's what they say, that the evil travels at night.
Yeah.
So then the animals that travel at night are usually the ones giving the message too.
Right. Yeah, that's what everyone said. They pointed at my grandpa. They said, "Hey, everyone, let's get away from him. Like something bad's gonna happen to him. Don't be near him. If something bad happens to him, it might happen to you." So all his buddies left him alone until he basically slipped and fell, and he hit the back of his head on the steps, and he knocked out, and he lost a lot of blood. I remember that's what happened not too far after that.
Yeah,
because he stole a skinwalker's cool medicine bag. He stole it.
Yeah.
He brought it home, and he taught everyone what's in his toolkit. He took everything out, and it smelled like decaying, rotting flesh. The bag. Yeah. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it is, because it does lead into that. A lot part of like when they take the person that they're going to do the witchcraft, they take their stuff. They use something else too, like you're saying. They'll use some a dead person stuff. So they'll go to a grave and take out a bone or something, skin or something, or something to do with the snake or bear, anything, and then they put them together. They put it in a leather pouch. They wrap it up, and they start chanting, praying to whoever they pray to. I guess to be Satan, and then that's when it's done. They're basically the opposite way. When you go to a medicine man, you go to an altar, you get everything done that you want, then it's fixed. The same way with them, they do the same thing but backwards. They go to the altar, do everything backwards, say stuff backwards to try to make it work, against you. So there was that battle, and that's why I use the term Harry Potter. It's a battle. It was a constant battle for 30 years. It was dealing with people who didn't like me. A lot of it was because I was monster slayer too. I found out eventually my prayers would actually work. They would work instantly. People would call me up and ask me to pray for them, and I was because I travel a lot. I travel a lot as a lineman out here in California. I always went into the ocean, and I prayed, and the very next day it would be fixed. And I didn't know, what I was praying against. I didn't know any of the situations. They would just tell me, I need this prayer because I'm sick, or I need this because this is happening. I need this. And so I just went over there, and, it was always to God and Jesus. there was no sun god. There was no other, all of that other God stuff. No, it was straight to Jesus and God. And I don't know if it was supposed to be like that, but that's who I prayed to all the time. And it was always on my mind since growing up Christian that I had to pray like that. And that's how I always pray. But then it would work. It would work, because some of the things I prayed for, people who had cancer, they would tell me, the doctor found a lump in my breast. I needed, it's scaring me. I need to do something. So I would go to the ocean and I would pray, basically saying that, this is the God of child, that it shouldn't be, take this out. A lot of times I could see where it was at. If I closed my eyes, I could see it because it almost came out like an X-ray, how it was inverted, black and white. I could see the whites. So I knew where it was at. And I would pray for that. And the person that I did pray for like that, the next time they went to the doctor actually told them that it was gone. It was a miracle, but the doctor sort of freaked out because it was a lady doctor and she was saying, you did something wrong. You was accusing her of doing something, going to another doctor or having it removed or having all that stuff. And she was questioning her x-rays. This was here. I know it was here. We were going to do all this stuff. And it wasn't, to the point where she got mad and she left. She dropped the patient and actually she ended up quitting. So there was a lot of little stories like that. People start, come to me and, I think for cancer, I prayed for it like 3 or 4 times and it did work, but it was always the same way. I reached out to Jesus and God. It wasn't my power. I was just the messenger that said, ask for it. And that's when I say the monster slayer had, power. I had the power of prayer and I would ask and it would get done fast. And so I don't know if it was really close people that happened, because there's some people that I prayed for that it didn't work. And it was actually really heartbreaking that to me. And, eventually I was just really heartbroken because I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. But then, sometimes I always turned to the Christian way. My grandma and grandpa were Christians. I had friends that were Christians. I would always ask them, I did this. I prayed for this. What happened? It didn't work. Why is this? And, it come down to, it was God's plan that they weren't supposed to be here. There was another story that had to be told amongst these people over here. And so, you're praying against it, but, it can't work. So there's sometimes those events that went on. So, it's one of those things is I never considered myself a medicine man. If I went deeper, I probably could have been, and I never did, because I didn't want to see what they did. I just wanted to pray and tell them, this is how it is, and fix them. This is still to this day, people come up and ask me to pray. It's no different. I don't go to the ocean, because I don't need to go to the ocean. I could go anywhere to pray. So that's what I started seeing. The traditional way, the medicine men, there were some things that, I talked about a little bit of this on the first episode. And I say it's amazing because there is some amazing stuff in there. You would never think of where, because it always revolved around something bad happening or a past generational curse, because there are generational curses that, just follows a person down the family line that they're trying to stop. But, and medicine men were different. A lot of the medicine men didn't know how to do everything. And there were certain medicine men that did stuff. There's certain things. What I didn't like is that they all did stuff different. You go to this medicine man and he did something different the way this one did. And, I never questioned it because there was a way that a lot of them explained to me is that when they got their power as becoming a medicine man, it was shown to them how to do it, how to do their altar, how to set up their altar, how to pray. So I never really questioned that part, but they were all different. Even, like where it's I start seeing stuff differently, like the Kilnada, when you're the coming to woman
Right.
ceremony. If you look at that, if you do it today, everybody doesn't get an argument because everybody does it different. I don't know if you've ever been to that, and it's just so many people arguing, saying you're not supposed to do it that way, you're supposed to do it this way, and it's just it's a big argument, and it's like, so in a way they forgot how to do it. They forgot how to do it, and so the same way with the traditional, and it's like it was to the point where you want to go see a medicine man, and if you call people, everybody can know. I don't know, and on the reservation, on the Navajo reservation, it's like this, but I don't know about the other tribes because we had a lot of medicine back in the day, but they would call around for people to find a medicine man, and the first thing is this guy good? Does he know what he's doing? And it was like, no. Then you would hear stories about it, and so you wouldn't go to that guy. Then you look for another one. So it was like they had a Yelp review on them of if they were good or not. Yeah, and it's just, so you would find someone and you would keep them, and until but he would be so busy because he would be good, because now people calling you up, you'll say, oh yeah, go to him. So you find that there's certain ones that are good, certain ones are bad.
They had some good names too. Certain ones, like they had unique names. Like I remember one name that was really unique was Hatkali Namasi.
Yeah.
That like translates, or basically like he's a singer, Hatkali, the singer. Namasi, kind of like he moves around like how would you translate it now, Namasi? Like on his knees, or he rolls around, like he doesn't get up and walk around, like he kind of just crawls around or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So that was his unique name.
Yeah. A lot of them were in English too, like a Ramhead. Always heard of one as Ramhead. I never met him, but I would hear people talking about him. Oh, he was Ramhead. So it was just. I know it had to go with the same thing there, the Navajo way that it is.
They had one old guy from my area. They said that he was gifted where he can see your ancestors, like the history, your line. He can see that far, all the way down from your past, and tell you your story. That's one of the gifted ones. Real quick, right before we continue, let's read these comments real fast. Chris Soto, good evening, y'all. Excited for tonight's show. Your Halloween show was awesome. Oh, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Darlene Lopez. Hello, guys. What's up, Darlene? Melody Alvarez. Hey, what's up, Melody? B-Cast. I'm part native. Respect me this month. Okay. Let's go to your house and take something. Let's go take your car. We'll say we discovered it. No, just kidding. Happy Native American Month, B-Cast. Mort Ali, hello, what's up, Mort? Mr. Ali, assalamu alaikum. Sherry Madigan. Oh, Madigan. I think I said it wrong, all right. Hopefully I said it right. Hello, Don, Darren, and Korey. Hello. Navajo, your shorts. Eat my shorts.
Yeah.
Crazy Coyote 1313. What's up? What's up, Crazy Coyote? Crazy Coyote 1313. DNA is why I don't spit. I don't clip nails. Don't cut hair on the res because they'll use it against you. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. That's a fact. I'm a survivor on that. B-Cast, I agree with you that the traditional way you can have true experience, knowing that the Christian Mormon way, my opinion, they continue to change the script and prove their beliefs. B-Cast, DNA stays the same when the Christian Mormon belief constantly changes to explain why you should believe them. Oh, Z-Sun Dragon. Hi, all. What's up, Z-Sun Dragon? Bet Girl 84. What's up, Bet Girl? Adam Delorme. What's up, relatives? What's up, relative? What's right. We caught up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
oh, wait. Darren, you had any questions before we continue?
Yeah, it's the the Native Americans, I don't know if it's just the Navajos, but they're really superstitious, really superstitious when it comes down to it. Even with these coyotes, these tricksters, every time you see one, everybody has to like stop and it looks at you like, oh shoot, So I also, I also kind of grew up with these, like there, if you come across a group of coyotes and they all look at you, then they all split in different directions, that's there. You came across a meeting, I guess you would say. There's a bunch of them. Like don't follow people that has spiders. The spiders that follow them, or spiders in their hair type deal. Would be another one. It's also to the point where you don't cut your hair. You dispose of it in a proper in a way. Don't trim your your toenails or your hand nails. Or stuff like this. Or you're just really superstitious group of Native Americans. I'm pretty sure it's for a reason why. And you bringing up that DNA, that yeah, it could make it makes a lot more better sense. Where like why did they take it? Well, they're taking your DNA. They're taking your what makes you up. And also with these medicine men, I also heard stories where just like your Christian beliefs, like how Jesus calmed the storm. I heard stories of medicine men being able to do this. They'll talk, raise their jewelry up to the sky, and they'll tell the storm to stop. You're scaring the kids, or stuff like this. And also other ones where it says where medicine men, they'll be so holy, that where they step is, nothing poisonous, nothing venomous will come across them, to the point where spiders will shrivel up and die, or snakes will curl up and pass, to the point. And that's even in the your scripture too, those serpents or snakes shall bite the foot, so it makes you wonder, like there were medicine men. Maybe Jesus was the ultimate medicine man at a certain point, because Navajos, they're able to, the medicine men more or less, they're able to do the same works. I think Ron too from oh man, Lodge Tales, he mentioned this too, and I listened to his podcast and was like, that does make sense. It's kind of weird, and it makes you. He was bringing up why the natives should follow the Christian way. Like we have people that can do that also. It's really strange, but it's also recording. So there's a lot of weird stuff even with the medicine. The medicine man way. I seen it too, just like what you say. You sit there and you see it, and the logic, the reasonable mind, the logic mind will try to make sense of it. But at the end, you sit there and you leave and you look at the world like, what just happened? Like how do I explain this to someone who doesn't believe it? And it's really strange. So it is out there. It is out there, and it's still out there too. So there's a lot of points you bring up, and it makes a lot more sense. So
I wanted to crazy. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say throw in a couple more superstitious. What I remember my grandpa and my great Nelly lady would tell me was like when a ladder is extended and up, you're never supposed to go underneath. I can't remember the story behind it.
That's the white people way too. The same way too. Yeah, that's almost like a superstition from the white culture too. It's one of those ones.
Oh,
the latter one too.
Crawling in and out of the window too. I remember that. I got yelled at. I got spanked for doing that. Or but yeah, like going back to Jesus, you know what I mean? Like he does say that everyone's supposed to do what he's done and greater. You know, like
Yeah,
everyone has different jobs, everyone has different gifts. You know, some are the eye, some are the ear, the head, the tail, you know, and it's all passed down through us, you know, humanity. We're supposed to help each other out, you know,
yeah,
and I think that's one of the blessings, like through a lot of other lines, like family lines, that they had a gift, but someone along the way knew that this particular person or group or a nationality might be sensitive, you know, spiritually wise, and to listen to the to have that faith to what's beyond the scene, what's in the other realm that we can't see, you know. Like we
Yeah.
have that faith easily, you know, we believe, you know. And I think that trait really does pass down on from somewhere.
yeah,
And but yeah, go ahead, Corey.
yeah. And one of the ones you guys are forgetting, a big one is lightning. So
Oh
lightning
yeah.
is being a lineman. I always had to have a ceremony to you know take that off of me. Lightning is actually a lot of it they'll say it makes you get angry really fast, almost like
Right.
bipolar, really fast. And, it'll give you arthritis. It'll
Mm.
So there was a lot of times where I had to go see medicine men about lightnings. I I always prayed against myself. For some reason, praying against myself never really worked like how it worked for other people. So I would have like my wife pray for me or my family pray for me or something like that. It just never worked on me. It was only for you know for people I prayed for. But the lightning one was really big. Um, One
Right.
thing I wanted to bring up as a um, let me see which album am I going to start at this one. My There is a book out there, and it's called He Walked. Let me see if I got it right here somewhere. He Walked Americas, and so in the '60s there was uh, I don't know if it was a doctor or something that actually went to visit all the Native Americans in the nation. And there was a story that came up with everybody, everybody, that talked about a lot of these in the '60s. They went and talked to these older chiefs. These chiefs were old. They all had a story about a man in a white robe that visited them. And this is something that sort of, it makes me think, why are all these stories coming out about a man in a white robe visiting him? And I think it was a she. It was L. Taylor Hanson, was who the author was. But she would ask them, why, tell me about this story about this white robe, and they would actually come and say, yeah, we did our own thing as Native Americans, and just all of them, some man in a white robe came up. Some of them said that he was a white man with beard, and that he came and told them that they're doing stuff wrong, and that they would, they needed to worship one creator, the man that works his creator. And because he introduces himself as a son and that his dad was the creator. And it's sort of interesting is that, a lot of people say, oh yeah, that's BS. But, the Navajo is one. The Navajos and the Apaches were the ones who, they were basically nomadic back then. The story goes is that they questioned him and said, why are you the creator? And all this stuff. And he says, well, my father has power. My father gives me power. So there was a big rock in this. It says that it was up there by around Monument Valley. You know how those big rocks fall off the cliff and they're like huge, like bigger than a semi. He said that he goes, yeah, I'll stand that rock up, and they're all standing there, and the rock stood up. The rock stood up on end, and they said it balanced there. It balanced there, and he said, this is the power that my father gives me, and which is really interesting because they asked him, well, what do you call your father? And he told him, he said, what do you want to call him? And he goes, no, we want to know what other people call him. And the name that he told him was Jehovah. Yahweh is what it was. And, the people who don't know the Bible, Jehovah is actually the name of Jesus or a God, Yahweh. Yahweh and Jehovah all are tied together as the Father. So, which was really interesting that this came out, but it wasn't just certain tribes; it was all the tribes. All the tribes had a story of a man in a white robe who came to visit them. I've been hearing about this story of the white robe for about 5-10 years now, and every once in a while, when I go to a powwow, some of the drummers up there will actually talk about this. About there was in our culture there's stories of a man in a white robe that came, but supposedly he went and visited all of the Americas, all the Native Americans out here, and just told them, this is the way you're supposed to go. A lot of them didn't listen. A lot of them mixed it together. And that was one thing I was thinking about, is that there's no way of what to tell what we were, because there's no books back there. There was none of that. They used what they used to make all of this happen. The earth, a lot of it is we use the sage, cedar, for blessings and all that. So we use what was here. Some of the stories came and said that he talked about teaching them how to crop, teaching them how to grow crops, teaching them about how to use animals, how to only use what they're going to eat. All of these little things that that we're taught today is that like a sheep, you're supposed to use the whole sheep and don't waste anything. So a lot of these things came into it. There were stories of like the man in a white robe, when he would pray, he was in the morning, he would face east. And so like a lot of you guys, I don't know about other tribes, but Navajos, you always pray in the morning. You pray to the east. We actually used to put white corn pollen on as we were praying in the east. Another thing too is he told them to when they're doing their smoke, to blow it east, almost like around them like this, and that was a cross, because some of the stories told them that the man had a cross on his hand, and so that was the thing and why they blow it. I don't know if you guys in the Navajo culture, when you smoke the tobacco, a lot of places they have peace pipe, but you're blessing yourself. You blow it first, offer it to the east and all the way around you in all 4 directions, and that was the cross right there. So there's a lot of little things that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why we do that. This is weird. Praying to the east. Our doors always to the east, because when you wake up, you're facing the east where the sun rises, and you're blowing all different directions. So it made a lot of sense. And then for me, it was, where did we lose this? Where did we lose this? There was a way that we were taught to do stuff. It obviously mixed in with it, because there was stories in that book talking about some tribes that were on the border of Arizona and Mexico that were eating kids, and that they were sacrificing the kids and eating them. And that was one where he had to put his foot down and tell this is the last warning I'm going to give you, because that's Don, I think we talked about this in the first episode about natives that were practicing with changing DNA. One of the medicine men I talked to before was talking about how I asked them in a ceremony, where did the Anasazi go? And he told me they were taken off to Earth because they were messing with DNA, changing DNA. And even like Don brought it up that they were actually swapping heads or parts on different animals and humans and stuff like that. And so that's the part of messing with DNA right there that sort of says that. So when when that man in the white robe went down to those tribe, that was their warning. You're not going to eat kids. You're not going to sacrifice these kids, because a lot of them were sacrifices.
Yeah, I think
whole hard reality.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest evils out there is, child sacrifice. No matter where you go, it's that's wicked. That's evil.
Creator.
Yeah.
That's one of the ultimate pains you can cause on the creator is children. And that's why like for us, our culture, like when like a female, she gets she gets taken advantage of by another ethnicity, another tribe, and she becomes pregnant and she gives birth, and we accept that baby right away. Because every child's a gift, and like that's why we have so many clans. Like a lot of Navajos on the New Mexico side have the mini warriors clans because when the Comanches were raiding, they couldn't take all the young females with them, so they had their way with the ones that they couldn't take. So the girls that they couldn't be taken were with child for them. So that's how they had that clans, mini warrior clans, and like same thing with Navajo Mountain and Monument Valley area. Like we have a lot of clans, Ute clans, like Water Reed running into the Ute clan. So we have different Ute clans within ourselves up on northwest side of Navajo Nation. So we're all mixed, one way
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what the man in a white robe told him too, is that you guys all need to get together, and they didn't, and it makes you wonder because if they would have got together, would they have defeated, fought off the settlers? Because everybody was split. Everybody was split. Everybody was still battling, and it's an interesting book. If you get to it and read it, there's some stuff in there that's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Because I never really thought that, but that did cross my mind, and that was part of the reason why I left traditional, went back to Christianity, because there was questions. There's a lot of questions about why is everybody doing stuff differently. There's stuff made up and stuff like this. When I went back to Christianity, all of it stopped. All of that, I never had issues again. And it was just one thing, is that I didn't have to. I didn't have to, sort of settle down everything, because when I was traditional, I was going to a medicine man almost 10 to 15 times a year. And it was just never ending. It was just when one thing was cleared up, then it happened again. So, but going back to Christianity, it was clear. I don't have anything to do about, and I just have to worry about my faith and, being a good person. And that's all it says, is to believe in Jesus, accept him in your heart, and try to be like Jesus. And that's all I do, is try to be like him. I ain't going to ever be like him, because I still sin a lot. I still cuss like a sailor sometimes, and I still, get pissed off looking at people on social media. So I do, and I'm a work in progress. I'll always be in a work in progress, but at least I know the direction I'm going.
Yep, that is true. It's a blessing to be in these bodies, but it's also, the spirit goes against the flesh, and they're always going to be fighting against each other. It's only we can only work on it. We can only work, and by good faith and belief. Believe in the however you want to put it, God, the Creator. The man, the OG. But in all reality, we strive to be like Jesus. Which knew no sin. And he was sacrificed as the ultimate sinner. So through that, it's I'm pretty sure he walked amongst every tribe, and I'm pretty sure he did. Like how we're saying, everybody has a different way of praying. All these cultures, but they're always praying to the to God, to the Creator of this world and us and the universe, and which brings us, even the Lodge Tales. I'm gonna bring him up again because I listened to his podcast when he had him on, and he told a story about
He's coming back end of this month, FYI. But
nice. He mentioned a man. He went and did his fast to heal sickness, and what he said was he had a he had an unknown symbol on his around his neck, his collar, and it was a shape of a cross. And he brought that up, and I'm like, wow, he's there's nothing that this he can't do, and I'm pretty sure he's been around us. And even
Yep.
I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the first episode. Is I heard stories of like a Jesus type entity or figure in the Navajo's told. Like he taught how to live in harmony, live in peace. Live and take care of. And at the time, he said he had to go. Like, I can't stay here. I have to go. And then the people got mad and they started jealous. That's where the jealousy pops up again. Is the ultimate. It's the ultimate
Yeah.
avenger.
Well, yeah, real quick. You guys ever heard of the wind god, the talking god on the traditional? So the wind god, I remember hearing the story. They're saying that they heard a voice within the wind. This voice was telling them, to do this and do that. This medicine here was speaking to them like the wind, and they would ask a question, he would respond, and they would ask him, what's your name? And that wind responded, I am who I am. Who else says that? It's God of the Bible. I am who I am. And they asked him, they're like, what do you look like? Because we want to make something that resembles you and pray to you. And he told him, he told our ancestors, he said, no, don't make anything of me. Don't, I am the wind. I'm all around you. So like, I had one of my friends tell me that story, and then another friend came to me. He did some time in prison. He was wrongfully accused, but during his time in prison, he had to survive, and he ended up becoming an assassin. And one of the tattoos they gave him to separate him from all the other Navajos was the wind, like a feminine face, like a wind, because he was a silent assassin.
Yeah.
And same thing with the talking god, like they would hear him talk, and he would keep telling them, you don't make anything of me. So he's always been around us, or with each and every tribe in probably different ways than we know. So that's why some of us, we acknowledge him, like when we kill a deer, and we acknowledge him. We leave parts out for him and say thank you for our brother here. But yeah, let's before I go on, let's catch up with the. Oh yeah, what's that again? Sorry.
I was going to tell you that book right there. Actually, the guy in the white robe. Actually, one of the tribes asked him who he is, and he said, "I'm the god of wind and water," which was one of the ones on there that. It's when you brought it up, and I was like, "Oh, it was." I did see it in the story, but then when you saw it, when you changed your story, I'm like,
"Oh, that's cool."
Yeah,
I gotta read that book now. That book sounds more interesting, a little bit more.
It's free. It's free when you look it up online. Yeah, you could get a free copy online.
Oh, everything's good when it's free, right?
Yeah.
Sally Fort. Is it bad that there's something, or sometimes a screech owl outside my house? I never heard one before. A couple months ago, it scares me. I don't know. Maybe it's there to tell you. One of the Navajo traditions was the eagles. They're one of the highest messengers, the holiest birds, and every bird is really one of the is sacred, but the eagle is like up there with the holy people, and the owl is also is up there as well. So the eagle would deliver messages of victory. It'll give you a message from the creator himself. And the owl's job's the same thing, but the owl will tell you bad news. The owl will tell you to run. They're coming to kill you.
Is with the owl. The owl. I used to see the owl all the time, but I knew I'm a good person, and one time I had to ask, the Holy Spirit, don't let the owl be the messenger. I don't want to say I'm not that person no more. The owl is just a regular animal. Let him do on his own, and I'm not that part anymore. So a lot of it is I have to ask, stop that. I'm this person, and now the owl doesn't mean anything to me, but I have to ask, stay away, and it doesn't bother us anymore. So, but yeah, it used to bother us because we actually where we live at, there's owls all over, and we haven't seen one like really bothering us in over a year.
Oh, that's pretty wild. One time, my uncle was working in Los Angeles. He was staying in downtown Los Angeles at a hotel. He was working there with one of our family friends from the area. So they're both working out there, and my uncle went to go take a shower, and the window was open, and his family friend said a huge gray owl flew in the window. Boom! It sat there and it was looking at him, and it was telling him in Navajo, started speaking, saying, "Hey, go tell." He said my uncle's name. He said, "Go tell so and so. Go drive over there." Giving him specific directions and telling him to go jump into the ocean. And there's a huge crystal that's at the bottom of that part of the ocean. So my uncle's like, "Hell no, that's so and so. I know who that is. He's trying to kill me. He wants me to drown in the ocean. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm not going down there right now." Yeah. So one of the weird things.
Even with the talking about birds, like critters. I was also told that the hawk, you always see them posted up on the power lines and stuff like that. You see them flying around. As a kid, I was told like one of my uncles, he wanted to, slap the side of my arm. He's like, "Straighten up. You're being watched. They're watching you. They see how you do and what you're doing, and see what kind of character you carry." And like that's what he's doing right there. And like who like this is a hawk right there. So every now and then, every time I see one, I just kind of just straighten my posture up, and just keep my mind clean. I guess keep my mind clear, and keep going straight, and have good conscience and have a good way of thinking, and clarity. And that's one of the things that I was told about the hawk. So every time you see one, just put your mind on straight. Do have good intentions in what you're doing. But
quick question, Korey. I don't know if it's just me, but have you ever experienced, like, if you ever seen a white owl? Like, it happens to me every time I see a white owl, or before I see the white owl, I will hear like a white noise, like both ears would be really loud, and it would happen every time. And I would look around, look up in the sky, I would see a white owl or sitting in the tree, and he would take off flying right over me. And it happened so much that I was there one time with my in-laws and my nephews. I was like, "You guys hear that?" They're like, "No, I don't hear that." I'm looking around like, "Look, there's a tree, there's a big white owl sitting in there." So and I have to cover my ears. So I don't know what the deal that
The,
is.
the only time the only time I heard stuff was I went to go see a medicine man, and I sat down in the patient's area. So I sat down, and when he went and put cedar on the fire, I heard something go whoa, 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 out through my ears around the whole hogan, and I could hear it, and it felt like it was going through my head. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, something just came in," and it was like, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it's like something spiritual out there, whether good or bad, I don't know, because I know it was in a ceremony when I did that. I did hear that, and I asked people, I'm like, "Did you hear that?" And they're like, "No." "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Did you hear that?" And they're like, "No, you didn't hear that." I'm like, I could hear it. It actually felt like something came in the door and went around the hogan. We go clockwise in the hogan, so everything went around like 2 times and it left it. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" So it was there is some truth to it, and I could talk a little later on familiar spirits. I think a lot of it's familiar spirits there.
since you brought that up, the running around the Hogan during a ceremony. Actually, my father, he was listening to the podcast that we have here, and he's like, you know what? He brought up an old story. He's like, I never thought of this until now, until I listened to your podcast. It brought this memory up, and I was just sitting there listening to him, and he was saying when he was a younger boy, him and his family went to top of the mountain. They had a ceremony. They were doing a ceremony during the night, and the mother, she pretty much told the kids, like, you guys, if you can't stay up there the whole night, you guys have to go to sleep, lay down in the station wagon in the back. And what he said was, all the kids were asleep, and he was still awake. He woke up, and he heard he heard the singing, the Navajo singing, and what he was saying was that something ran down from a hill and ran around the Hogan and ran back up, and they did that 4 times, and he said it sounded like bells running, and you can hear the bells get closer, run around the Hogan, then run back. Yeah, since you brought that story up, it just reminds me of this one. As for what it is, it could be spirits, your spirits, like, observing what's going on, or observing the people, I guess you would say, and seeing where they stand. Also, what he was saying was he heard this and he didn't want to look up. Then the son came out, and the parents came out, and he told his mother, he's like, I heard bells running around the Hogan and taking off and coming back. And she kind of just looked at him, and she didn't even say. I guess he's like, the parents took him serious, like where, when, where, like how, where'd it go, and they kind of interrogated him, and then they took off to where these bells, where he said the bells were chiming at, in the direction. So it's odd, but it brings up a lot of old memories with these traditional medicine ways. There's one's always checking up on the other. One always has to check the other. It's they go hand in hand, I guess. And, so
one thing that with me being Christian, my algorithm on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube is crazy. I don't know if you ever change your algorithm in there. Some of the stuff that pops up has been crazy, because I've been seeing podcasts on a lot of stuff. One of them, that sort of reached my attention was the Nathan Reynolds. I don't know if you heard about Nathan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Reynolds says that he's part Nephilim. So he has Nephilim blood. I don't know if you guys know what Nephilim is.
Yeah.
Nephilim were the fallen fallen angels, or the angels that were the watchers. They made it with the females on Earth, so their offsprings were the Nephilim. They were the Nephilim, and so when God flooded the Earth, all of them were supposed to have been all gone, and that's when Noah had the ark and put all the 2 animals and everything in there so they could survive, and after the flood, then they could start again. But some of them are saying that they, they're still here. They have DNA blood in there.
Right. Yeah, I heard that.
Have you guys heard the traditional story on some of those ones, like how like the last world? Okay, so the fallen angels, the Nephilim, like one of the old stories. It goes like this happened a long time ago. Everything happens a long time ago, but this story took place back in the day, as usual, many moons ago. So the woman and the men, they both got into disagreement. They got into a huge argument. The men went on the other side of the Colorado River. the women stayed on the other side. So time passed, and the holy people, they were watching. So they came down, and they came down to both camps, and they both produced giants, the six-fingered beings, six-toed beings that we see all across the wall panels on the southwest. From all over the place, we see evidence and
Yeah.
signs keeps replaying
Uh,
over and over. And like the flooding, when the last world, the water started rising, there's this portal that opened, and everyone started hopping through. Everyone started hopping through. And
mm,
when they got to the other side, they said, all right, who has the seeds? Who brought the seeds? Who brought the squash, the beans, the corn seeds? Who brought them? And they all looked at each other like, we didn't bring it. We didn't bring anything. We didn't bring the seeds. And they started crying, because they came from the third world to this fourth world. And they're like, oh man, now we're gonna starve here. And then to make it worse, we couldn't speak with the animals like we can speak to each other. So that we couldn't speak, and then it made everything worse. Like, oh man, we're gonna die here. And then as the portal was closing, the last animal that came through was the turkey. He came through, and I guess while everyone was jumping through the portal, the turkey was still there. He was plucking the seeds, the corn seeds, the squash seeds, the bean seeds, the chili. He's getting all those different seeds that comes from this continent, and he was putting them in his feathers, in his wings. So he was putting them all in there, and the water started going up to his knees. That's why the feathers don't grow on his legs, because that's how high the water got. And he realized that his time's running out. He needs to go. If he doesn't make it, this everyone on this world is gonna starve to death. So he made it through that portal, and that portal closed. And everyone's like, "Oh, at least the turkey made it," And he opened his wings. He started shaking. All the seeds came out of him. So I know that's one of the stories. Like for us, Dene, we can't
Yeah.
eat turkey.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but those are two stories from what I remember from Navajo, and
I
can't wait
know.
to hear other tribal stories. But go ahead there.
Do any of you guys have anything playing in the background? I know I got the TV playing right here, but it's on mute. But I could hear murmuring. Man, I might have to go through this and maybe like 3 minutes.
Can you hear
Yeah,
it? I'll mute my mic right now.
Yeah, I could hear talking, murmuring in this side. Probably 110. I might have to go back and look at it. So,
Yeah, no, I've been muting my mic. So, one thing about that, the Nephilim and what Nathan Reynolds talks about, which is really interesting, is that he was actually raised around Flagstaff, and he's saying that his family, there's an elite, it goes up the line of where they all came from, elite. But he's saying that a lot of them consider themselves the Illuminati, or different parts of the Illuminati, and that's where all those, they think they're better than human, and that's when they could actually, they're doing stuff. They're actually doing stuff to control the world. But he goes into how his family trained him in all of the witchcraft around, and one of them was being around Flagstaff. He's talked about the Navajos and the Hopis, about he had to learn about their witchcraft, about their how them doing shape shifting and all that, because what they were training him to be was to defend their family from everything and know everything. He also stated that his families actually worked with the government, and they took parts of Nephilim and they tried to change them like into a super soldier. And he says a lot of these super soldiers actually they were mistakes, or they're still working on them. And he says they're underground. And it reminded me of when you guys were all talking about around Dulce, New Mexico, up going to Colorado, because they're talking about a big military base. And he was saying they are underground, because he said when he was in Flagstaff as a teenager, he would go out into like tunnels and stuff, and he would end up meeting like dogmen and stuff, and he would actually end up killing them. So he said that was his training growing up, and he got into the military. The military, they did more experiments on him of trying to change. It's almost like the mutant, the X-Men, them trying to change you mutantly like that.
Right.
But and it's really interesting because some of the stories he talks about is that you could change into either go a vampire or a werewolf. And he's like, there's some people that don't have that Nephilim gene in them, and they get stuck. They get stuck doing that, and he's like, they can't come back. So, and he says there's that's where a lot of the, it makes me, because like a lot of your shows were asking, why are we seeing all these things? Why are we seeing all these things? There was one. He was talking about, you were talking about the 12-foot Kachina. The 12-foot Kachina. That the Kachina was almost a familiar spirit, as the Hopis used the Mount Humphreys as a portal, that where they made offerings to on top of Mount Humphreys. If you guys don't know, Mount Humphreys is one of our sacred mountains. Those 3 mountains right there are one of our sacred mountains, and that's where they would give offerings to. And one of the gods that came down looked like a Kachina, and that's why they actually made it in that shape. And they would put it on their wall. But he said it's mainly a demon, a familiar spirit that's out there running around. And these going into these different people that are converted from Satanism to Christianity, or Satan to Catholic, or even Illuminati to Catholic or Christian. They're bringing up stuff that in these past episodes you're hearing about, because he talked about the dogmen, that people were getting stuck. That there was some that were in there. Talked about. There's one episode you guys talked about the phoenix, the big birds. And there was another podcast I looked at, and it was the falling of, or it was actually the killing of Anton LaVey. The killing of Anton LaVey. That priest in there was driving toward northern Nevada, and one of the tribes, the spirits, the power spirit, and that northern tribe attacked the girl because he was trying to kill her because she had had a contract on her to be the sacrifice virgin.
Yeah, you're what do you call it? Star Child or Star?
Yeah, I don't know.
Child, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, to make things a little more weird.
But that demon that came out was actually, and you look at his name, it's other names, it's the Phoenix. And it's like, you see it, and that demon actually says that he watches over all of the Native American tribes. So, that's why, when you were saying, I wonder why we keep seeing these on our tribe, on our reservations,
He's the plumed serpent, right? That's the one we call the plumed serpent. Quetzalcoatl. That's his name. Dragon, the phoenix, feathered serpent.
The dragon's the devil. Okay. This one was let me see.
Yeah, my kids, whenever they have a bad dream, they would tell me it's one of the Kachina dance songs. And that Kachina, they gave one to my daughter to carry around for her rest of her life. And every now and then she would wake up when she heard that song in her dream. She'd get up and start praying, and we tell her whenever that happens, whenever she hears it, her brother hears it. And they both would get up and pray together, and they would come and get my wife and I, and would pray together. So they would see things that would enter the home, and I would see it, and all my kids would see it. so it's pretty cool, and it tells me that they're spiritually aware, like how I am, which is awesome. That I'm not crazy.
It's kind of an odd thing. I'm not sure if it's just like a Native American trait, but I'm the same way too. I feel the same way. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was here, and for whatever reason, I just felt someone was gonna walk through the door, and I was sitting there and I just had that gut feeling. I could feel it, even though the door was locked the door. And one of the weirdest things was I was sitting here playing with, it's a grown ass man playing with his dogs right there. I was sitting there just having a time sitting on the floor, and all of a sudden a knife falls off the I actually used a butter knife, hit the ground, and I seen the whole rack move, and I was like, "Oh shit!" like, I told. That's why I was telling Don, and I even posted it up. I think this RV is haunted. Like damn, like it makes me, kind of weary. It makes me cautious, and I don't know if it's just the podcast doing that, or for me,
You're
I
not
always.
quitting on us, Darren. You're not quitting
I
on
always
us.
seen and always noticed that, strange and stuff like this. And I always noticed stuff in the sky. Just the other day, I took a picture of, something I hear in Odessa. No one knows what it was, but it was clearly in the sky. And I have pictures of it. And, I always see stuff. I always notice stuff. But I think the podcast, I believe it, people are, doing some stuff, I think. And I always kind of have a weary heart for it, but like I was telling Don too, well, it was weird before. Now I just have the only thing different is that I have a podcast of weirdness. So, like, let's go.
Well, I
Let's
think
do this. And
going back to when I went back from high school, there was I didn't see anything growing up. There was only one time I seen a skinwalker, and that was the only time ever. I was 12 years old.
Tell us that. Oh, you didn't, huh? But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was running through a field, it was sort of moonlight, and there was grass coming up, and I was, because we used to play in the field. We had forts and everything. And am I starting to break up or?
yeah.
Oh no. But yeah,
I know that time again. Huh?
Yeah.
So, but I was running through the field, and because everything was lit up and the moon was out, but there was something kneeling in front of me, and that was the only time I ever seen it. And I stopped like 3 foot from it, and it was completely black. And I turned around, but I say that because people I was around, they've always seen them, and I never seen them. Even if I was standing right there, they'd be like, "Look at that black dog," and I look over there, and there was nothing, or "Look at this," and I wouldn't see it. And it was so, I think, growing up, I think only certain people see stuff, and some people can, because there's people who will say, "Oh, look at that," and I look over there, I'm like, "I can't see nothing. What are you looking at?" But yeah, it's almost like a gift. A lot of the even Christians, it's a gift from God that I could see stuff. I could see stuff to look at stuff, but I can't. And a lot of it is that's why I brought up. I feel like I was protected as a kid, not to see any of that, and it's one of those things that I always think about it all the time. Because even people I'm around, they'll look at that, and I'll look over there, and I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see nothing." So it always one of those things.
Yeah, it's weird. It's an odd, strange life we live, but it's life chosen, I guess. That brings on another story. Even out there, I remember this. We're just normal day, us bebopping around Gallup. Went out to Safeway, and we're just having a jolly good time, freaking just messing around, and bunch of old folks just acting young, acting like kids. And I sit there and I stop and I look and I see an orange roll out of nowhere on the floor, and it just popped up out of nowhere like it was just a little slit, and I see an orange roll across. And I stopped and I asked, I looked at my cousin, like, "You see that?" She's like, "What?" And I was like, "An orange just rolled out of nowhere." And right when I said that, there was another man. He was holding one of those plastic wrappers, and he's sitting there looking right down, right where it is. And I made a mistake, and I should have asked him, like, "Did you see that? Did you?" Because his eyes were, his eyes was wide, and he had the bag just wide open, looking at the ground too. And like, and just, I don't know, maybe you see the portal, and all at what came out of it was an orange. So I don't know how to put this or where to place it, but I seen what I seen, and I should have asked that guy if he's seen it too. So
Yeah.
no mistake. So
Yeah. Real quick here, let's read some of these comments. Heidi Goal, I'm sorry, or I'm late. I'm sorry. Hello and good evening, Don and Darren and
Hi,
Corey.
Heidi.
Much love from
Hello.
Boulder. Oh, thank you, Heidi. Crazy Coyote 1313. Believe power example. Any type of music can exorcise demons. Oh yeah. Carla Washington, Don and Darren. That was an awesome Halloween special. Brian is a very courageous guy for telling the story of his sister and brother. It brought tears to my eyes. Oh yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I tried not to cry. I was like
yeah,
biting my inner
like-
mouth so I won't cry. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, turn up,
yeah,
turn up.
roll
Oh,
my eyes
man.
back. Like, oh shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Crazy Coyote 1313. Oh, see. Believe power. Example 2. Use the words against evil. I don't believe in you. Right there. Yeah. I don't believe in you. Or you can say, your father. Your father says, your father in heaven. They don't like that. Uh, Crazy Coyote 1313. I've heard from Sasquatch Chronicles a priest who encountered Bigfoot and started praying out loud. It quit attacking. Oh man.
See that comment right there. The Bible tells you the name of Jesus gives you power, and
Right.
anything. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a Bigfoot. It could be a demon. It could be evil. It could be skinwalker. It could be all you have to do is say the name of Jesus. Jesus, make him go away, and it'll make him go away.
Yeah,
That's part of the reason why I went to Christian
Yeah.
because I don't have to go to a medicine man all the time, and I don't have to keep screwing myself every morning.
All
I
that
pray.
money.
Yeah, I pray all the time, and so that's how I'm doing it in the mornings. And
Yep, that's that's one thing that they brought up too in the UFO world is even if you don't believe it and believe in Jesus, some people account of them being attacked, scared, and they call out the name of Jesus, and these aliens, these beings were, one person said that they did that, and the UFOs the aliens kind of backed off, like they kind of put their hands back, and they kind of did it, they had nothing to do with it, and they floated up, they stopped what they were doing, so there's power in the word Jesus, Jesus Christ, and
yeah,
these entities know it, and they're if you're ever in trouble, spiritually, or being attacked, like being tormented, there's
Hat
always
man.
yeah,
Shadow people.
there's always power in the word of Jesus Christ.
Crazy X. Even if she's a skinwalker. But to make it more weird, like I keep hearing on these podcasts is where they would hear a voice that, like this one podcast, I think it was Sasquatch Chronicles. I can't remember. But I guess a Bigfoot crawled in this one man's tent. This one man was sleeping with his son. And I guess he heard a voice telling him to wake up, be calm, don't move. And he opened his eyes and he came to that something unzipped his tent and crawled in, and it was right over his face and his son's face, and it was looking right at him. It was smelling him, and that voice was telling him, "Don't move, lay still. He knows you're awake." And then it was telling him to reach for his it was a big old gun. It was a 357 Magnum he had. It was telling him reach for his gun, reach for his gun, and then he was gonna like pull the hammer back, and he said he was like on the brink of insanity, and that voice told him, don't do it. Nope, he knows you're awake. Exhale, breathe through your nose, and he did. And then he did it. He said, do it again. He did the second time, and he said that Bigfoot started growling at him. It was right on top of him. It was growling at him face to face, and he told him to breathe through his mouth again. That voice, and he did, and that Bigfoot stopped growling at him, and he crawled back out the tent.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
just just to make it
I
more
think a lot
weird
of them
again.
too, it's like they'll have because I listen to that and I listen to How to Hunt, and it seems like there's a good and bad ones, and when
Oh
the
yeah,
bad one's coming, the good one will actually come in and interfere. Sometimes they'll tell you to move or tell you to do this or say this or do this, and
yeah,
try to
like
try to
Barry. Yeah,
yeah, try to distract him or trying to have him to do something or tell him to, go down the hill and right here and wait, because there's always, I think it's one of the good ones that are sort of doing that. Even listening to Will Jebney, there's always, a good and bad ones. They're saying just like humans, there's some that are good and some that are bad. So I think that might have been one of
man.
the good ones that were helping him out, especially if there's a bad one that came up on him.
Yeah. And just food for thought for everybody out there that lives secluded areas. I we've been getting a lot of information lately, a lot of stories of people feeding Sasquatches, and the stories that I keep coming my way is that be careful when you feed them. When you run out, when you run out of money, when you run out of leftovers, they'll be kind of mad. And especially if you're feeding a Bigfoot, make sure you have eyes on them as best as you can to so you know what you're feeding. Because if you're feeding the one that is 6 to 7 feet tall, canine head, ears, those ones will come back and tear you apart. So that's from around the reservation correlations of stories that keep coming on, and be careful out there if you are feeding something that you don't quite know about. And going back to the good and bad Sasquatch, like Barry, our Apache San Carlos Apache buddy, former police officer, he said that his this one guy, he passed out in his yard, his grandma's yard, and his grandma woke up saying, "What are you doing here?" And he told her, his grandma, that he was drinking in this one area where there's a lot of trees, and he went and passed out by underneath the railroad tracks by two beams. And he said this one kid was 6'6". He's pretty tall, and he said something came and woke him up, speaking to him in Apache, sounding like an old man, telling him, "Hey, get up, you're not supposed to be here, it's not safe here." So he told him that if you're gonna stay here tonight, something bad's gonna happen to you, something's gonna take you. There's things that come out late at night. And he was taking him to his grandma's house, and this kid's 6'6". He was bumping, he kept bumping into this one guy. He said he looked, this one guy is way taller than him, and he was really hairy. He had long, hairy arms. He was helping him walk to his grandma's.
Right.
So, we always have the good and bad. But yeah, I thought I had that little story.
Yeah, I have a story like that too. Back at the house, same thing, but Navajo. The Bigfoot was speaking Navajo and was carrying him, and I guess it managed to carry that man like 6 miles in a matter of a couple of minutes and dropped him off. It's strange, really strange, but it's always good to hear that Bigfoot always has pretty good intentions sometimes. Caring heart. So.
Real quick here, let's catch up to the comments real fast. BCast, Tecumseh was the only native who convinced us to gather together to defeat the settlers, not to mention of him being in a white robe or following that religion. Oh yeah, Tecumseh, that's a pretty good story. But we're all divided over here. You got the French from Canada, you have English, the East Coast, Spain, in the area, the Southwest, and then we're just so divided. It's just, I wish, it's just happened. Things happen, and we're here. And I keep saying to my kids that we're here, as Dene, we're here as evidence of a crime against humanity, and with our every beat of our heart is, is a victory. We're still here. They tried taking us all out at one point in time, and they hit us as hard as we can, and we're still here. I cannot read that. That's in Ukrainian or Russian. It says, "Who am I? What's my purpose here? book Legends of the Phoenix. Oh, okay. Good
Hmm.
recommendation. Recommendation. Legends of the Phoenix. Owl 13. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll go around that one. Let's see here. Let's see here. Wow, I have never heard of a man in a white robe coming to this continent. I'm Navajo. Interesting. I heard a little bit, some, especially the Hopi. Like they have the prophecy of that man coming, Jesus, right after his crucifixion. I heard that story. Renee C. He walked the Americas. That book is very interesting. There's stories from the Navajos that told the story and other tribes that shared similar stories. He walked the Americas. Okay, that's what the
Yeah,
book
that's
is
the name of
called.
the
Thank
book.
you, Renee C.
Hmm.
Oh, thank you, Renee C. Let's see here. He Walked the Americas by L. Tyler Hansen. There's pictures in the book. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like pictures. No, just kidding. Uh, Howdy Ghoul. I love owls. I saw a great horned owl the other night. Ooh, nice. Let's see here. Owl 13. I'm gonna try to say this. Go Koku is Ojibwe. Hey, Ojibwe, nice to see you, relative. The sound that they make bird owls are in that region, and they make it sound like that's supposed to bring messages from the other side. Ooh, correlation right there from our Ojibwe relative. Uh, Z Sun Dragon enjoying listening. Oh, thank you, Z Sun. Noel, my supervisor is from OK Owinga. I think I said it wrong. And she got weirded out when an owl was perched outside her porch at night. Oh man, probably, huh? Probably trying to get her cat. uh Carol Perlin. Hi from Louisiana. It's Bigfoot Whisper in the chat. Oh hey, what's up, Carol?
Could be.
Is it Carl? I think I said his name right. B Cast Steph. Okay, all right. I think it's the chat. Let's see. Gerald Log. Ayo, brothers, we're only humans, but we are easily drawn to evil, jealousy. Us humans are definitely,
Yep.
definitely. Gerald Log. Religion is not something to play with or mess around with. Yep. Stone Hobbit. Ghost, alien, kissy face. Oh yeah. Thank you, Stone Hobbit. Gerald Log. Have you heard of a native from Alaska? His name is Fred Rochiel. He has some great stories. Try to get him on, Don. Oh yeah, we'll see what we can do. Okay, let's see here. The super soldier stuff makes me dizzy and panicky. Oh man, it's probably already out there right now. Jay Clark, when ceremonies are handed off to a new practitioner, there's subtle changes in the ceremonial process. Ceremonies differ from between clan groups and regions. Oh yeah, especially tribes. Noel, thank goodness for the turkey. Oh yeah, make sure you don't. Make sure you thank him when you're chowed down on that big old turkey leg. We're not gonna eat turkey this year, just because. Crazy Cody 1313. El Chupacabra is probably one of them. Not okay. El Chupacabra is probably one of them. Not that dog that they are trying to palm off, but the alien type of version from Puerto Rico.
Could be Chupacabra.
Good. Oh yeah. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. Okay, hang on there. Werewolf Vampires, the movie Underworld. Oh yeah. Let's see here. Okay. Mort Ali, going to work. Have a great night. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mort.
Oh, yeah.
Be safe out there. Okay, I think we're catching up to. What's up, NJ? Says guys, I just noticed I'm at 4% battery. Okay, looks like we're oh okay, one more. Noel, okay, Anagua is what people from San Juan Pueblo call themselves. Oh hey, nice to meet you, relative from San Juan Pueblo. Call themselves, much like the Navajos call themselves Dene. Oh, thank you for clearing that up. Let me see if I can spell it. Okay, Owinga. Did I say it right? Okay, Nowinga. Nice. Okay, we caught up with everybody. Aaron, is there any final questions you want to ask Corey before we have him continue?
Oh, no, not right now. Right now I'm just you know trying to wrap a better mind around this conversation. It's good to have a conversation. It's good to talk about stuff like this. We live in a society where I I would people would talk more about Gonzo porn than Jesus Christ. It sounds more taboo to talk about Jesus nowadays, and the love that he has for everybody in this world. So it's good to talk about it, and thank you, Curly. This conversation is going to be heard around the world, and and it's something that needs to be heard. So to that, I'll give you another. Go ahead.
Round of applause. Yep.
I do that.
Like,
I have a lot of stuff to write.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Don. You want to talk? You want to say something?
yeah, go ahead. Oh no, I was just gonna say, it's a very controversial topic. It does say in the book that he's coming to bring a sword, not peace. So we're seeing that play out right now. But yeah, man, just love the kids, like he said. Love the children. The way into heaven is become like a children. Become childlike, innocent as much as possible. And you know, I have seen him before. He came in my dream, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So I'm 6 foot, and he's 6'1", and his eyes is all the different colors of all of us. And his voice is very, very unique. He brought my dead dog to me. He gave me a huge hug when I needed it, and he showed me like a dragon tormenting my family, and he showed me like who's he gonna attack, and we seen it's a it's a different experience. I think that's another episode on its own, but
Right.
He's real. He's always been around, and he's there, omnipresent. But go ahead, Corey.
I did have a vision one time too, but it's a lot of it too.
Oh yeah.
Like my wife now, she tells me, she's like, you have to be careful about visions because you don't know who it's coming from, whether it's be God or the enemy. But this is actually, I think about it a lot because it was really interesting. It was, I was in a Hogan, and the fire that comes out of the Hogan, it was rising up, and I could see it in the air because everything was black, and it was at night, and I sort of floated up with it. As I floated up into the air, it just kept floating and floating and floating, and where all the stars were getting so close, and I was passing up, the next thing you know, the stars started making pictures of people that were in, like, on fields, people that were in fields, dogs and horses and stuff like that, and there was like rolling hills and everything. But then there's these, it's like an escalator I was on, and it just kept going up and up, and I look over and there's a man next to me, and he smiled, and I just kept going and kept going, and I'm looking at the side and everything, and we went all the way to like a stop where the escalator stopped, and I look at the man, and he just sort of nodded to me and says, "Go ahead," and I kept going up, and it got to this big star, and the power you could feel from the star was amazing. It was so overwhelming, and you could feel the love and everything, and it was just like I just stood there. There was nothing said, and I just knew where I was, and I wasn't dead or anything, but it was just shown to me. And then next thing you know, I left from there, and I went down, and I was over to Earth, and there was an aquarium. It was like a huge aquarium, wooden aquarium, but in the aquarium there's feathers, and each one of those feathers was a person, and I could see angels standing over this aquarium, and the ones that were at the bottom, ready to hit the bottom, the angel would pick it up and bring it up to the top and let it go. And and it was from there, that person, whoever that was, had the decision to stay up there or fall back down. And it was really interesting. And as I stood there, and they're like, and I went and grabbed one, and I brought it up, and I put it up to the top and let it go. But it was one of those things where where you're gonna help people. Is what my intention was. And my wife now, she was like, well, you don't know if that was, God or not, or if that was the enemy showing you an evil sign. I'm like, but whatever it was, I said, what I got out of it was that I'm here to help people, and that's what I'll take with it. But that was my vision, and still to this day, I think that in our church, they asked a question one time, how many people thought about leaving, going away from God? And for me to think that, I'm like, I never thought that, because from day one it was Christianity. Even through traditional, it was believing in God and Jesus. Until now, it was always, I never thought of a different way. So it's been one of those lives where I went around the whole, looking at everything from witchcraft to traditional way to native to the church way, and I'm back here and I understand my own faith, and I'm here to talk to people and help people. Still today, people call me up and say, "Can you pray for me? I need prayer for this," and they just tell me really quick, and I'm like, "All right, I'll pray for you." I still pray for people all the time. I don't have ceremonies. I'm not no medicine man, and I'm just the person who prays. And that's my gift, is the power of prayer, because it does answer quickly. But to go back into a little of the cryptozoology, or the creepy stuff and all that stuff, that because I was telling you that my algorithm is full of crazy stuff. It is crazy, and part of that, the death of Anton LaVey, and this is actually what made me think of this stuff. In that movie, Anton LaVey's daughter. So Anton LaVey is the head of the Satan Church. He started it. His daughter was supposed to be sacrificed, and so it was the 7th year that they were supposed to do all that. But she left and she went to this preacher named David Bryan, and he was trying to help her. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know any of that, but he was trying to help her. And that's where he goes through that tribe in Nevada, and that demon, which his name was Pazaz. I think that's the one you're talking about, the fire Thunderbird and the Firebird. Pazaz, that was his name.
Yeah.
So then, because it was actually, they get to Halloween night, and this is one of those things where it's really interesting to me, because Anton LaVey practiced astral projection, which he worked with the military doing astral projection, basically coming out of your body and going other places. And one thing I never knew about it, but somebody might know, is that there's a white cord. A white cord that goes along there.
Yeah, that silver cord. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when he did that, because when he wanted his daughter for that final ceremony, and so if you search it up, it's going to say that the Satanist church are going to tell you that was all a lie, that he died in the hospital. But then this is from the pastor who actually was there, and he's telling his story. So there's 2 different stories, and I can see why the church don't want it to be known, because now you have a way to stop this. But it goes into our native Navajo witch, the skinwalker. But so with that, Anton LaVey was in his daughter trying to attack her on Halloween night. The pastor, David Bryan, he said he got a message from the Holy Spirit. So when you accept Jesus as your Savior, you have a Holy Spirit with you all the time, no matter if you like it or not. He's there, and you talk to him, he'll talk to you. It's a one-on-one conversation with him, and he'll tell you everything to do, tell you everything to say. He'll actually, the Bible will tell you, everything that Jesus, all the power that Jesus had, you could have. And, depending on how holy you are and how you use it, you could do all that. So the Holy Spirit's there. But the Holy Spirit told that pastor to pray to cut the silver cord. And so he called up all of his preachers, and they all prayed to cut the silver cord. And actually, the silver cord was cut. And that's basically how he died, because he couldn't go back to his body.
Yeah, that's how a lot of medicine men they access the astral realm like that. I'm having my brother-in-law coming on. He he ran into a few medicine men that were accessing the astral realm with the full
Yeah.
moon, and their eyes was white, and they
Yeah.
were chanting something. And every now and then, how I access it, you know, right when you're about to fall asleep, sometimes it
Oh, someone
looks I
died.
don't know how to
Was
tell
there?
you. There's like a rope that comes down, and at the end of the rope is like a pointed like this, and there's
Yeah.
a rope comes down, and I grab it and I get out of my body. So I don't
Yeah.
know if you
Yeah.
guys experienced that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
right when you're going to sleep, somehow, some way, I don't know, you had to you wait for it right there when you're drifting off, when you're about to leave, you're about to catch a plane or something. If you feel that, you know it, and then you wait, you kind of wait for it, and you see a rope come down, you grab it, and when you leave, you have a connection that ties you to your body. That's that silver cord. It's real, dude. It's real.
Yeah.
So whenever I
Yeah.
leave, my wife knows I leave, and she comes and elbows the crap out of me, and I fall back into my body. It's like a roller coaster, and she
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
after me. You need to quit doing that.
One one
Yeah.
thing I was
Yeah,
told
sorry.
about this silver cord too. You know how Navajos, they have the first laugh. Uh, the that silver cord. Everybody has one. How they have the back of the head, the little curl in the
Yeah.
back of the head.
The cat.
That's the your spiritual line. When the child first laughs, it breaks the spirit. The spiritual bond, and it kind of breaks it and makes that child knows it's human right there when it first laughs. So uh, the spirit is realizing that they're human. They're in this world now. So that's where they kind of just laugh about it. And boom, from what I get, that's what that silver that curl in the back of the head. That's where um, that silver lining is right there. That's how it's explained to me when
Hey,
looking
hey
more into
there,
it.
you guys. Running low on time here. We got less than 13 minutes left. Corey, is there any final things you'd like to share with
I
us?
do. I do want to say one thing. So I'm going to say this story. I'm going to try to make it quick. Someone really close to me. Um, they were going out. One of their friends got engaged. This was like 2-3 years ago. Some of you might know about this because it happened in Tempe. But their friends got engaged, and my friend, she didn't want to go with them. She got sick, so they went out on an engagement party, and they went and did their thing. When they got done partying at night, because this was on Tempe, they called her up and asked her, "Can you give us a ride?" And the vehicle that she was in only could hold so many people. So the two people that were engaged went in with this other guy, and they were all drinking. But the guy that they went in with, he had a sports car, and so he wanted to, show off, show off his car. So the girl I know, she went and drops everybody off. The guy with the newly engaged people, they went racing down the road, 110 miles per hour. He lost control and crashed. He crashed, and the two people that were engaged passed away. He was the only one that lived. He's the only one that lived. And she got home. As soon as she got home, she started getting calls saying that something happened. Something happened. I hear ambulance and everything. So then later she found out that that her friends that got engaged passed away. But one thing I told her, I said, if you're ever unsure, I told this to people too, because I told this on TikTok. If you're ever unsure, if you're scared, or if you're something like that, just ask Jesus to help you. And that's all you have to do. And whether the accident still would have happened, they would have been hurt, broke their legs or something. It wouldn't be the max. But that's all you have to do. It don't matter if you're traditional. It don't matter if you're Catholic. Don't matter if you're Mormon. Don't matter what tradition you are. We're all God's children. That's all you have to say. Ask Jesus to help, and it'll be better. It'll be fixed. Not all the way, but it'll be better to that point.
Yep.
It's always been bothering me about that. There's a lot of people out there that don't know. The Bible says that in the name of Jesus, the Jesus name's power. So you could stop a lot of stuff with that name, and it'll work. That's all I got.
Yep.
I,
And
I,
his eyes is every one of our colors too. So, we all have dark, some have blue, some have green, some have hazel. And his eyes, when I seen it, it's all of our colors.
Yeah.
Just like showed me that we're all his children. All every single one of us. And that hug he gave me was that hug that I needed. It's like, you know, all your life, all your hard struggles, I was there. I made sure you got through it. And
Yeah.
I'm still here for you right now, leading the way. And everything's is not an accident. Everything's meant to be, like us chatting here and with this podcast with the United Public Radio Network. You know,
Yeah.
this conversation is going throughout the airwaves, and
Yeah. But
it's
even
everyone.
the people that don't believe and want to sit there and talk bad about it, the Bible talks about that too. That there are going to be people talking bad about it. The people that are going to, tell you that you're lying, that you're not telling the truth, you're BS, and it talks about that. So you always have those people, and the Bible does talk to you, and the Bible does tell you how to, pray for them.
all right.
So
So
Yeah. Real fast. Let's just read these one quick. Adrian Belto. Hey, make sure you make us some dinner too. Carla Washington. When are you guys bringing Rippy back? We're trying to work on that. We want to at least April is when our next available date, but he works at the hospital, so he's a little busy. Uh, Spiritual Ascension. Jesus is King. Amen. Darlene Lopez clapping. Oh yeah. Sally Forth, this is giving me chills. Oh, likewise. Spiritual Ascension Heart. Yep. Spiritual Ascension. Jesus is the way and the life. Uh John 14:6. I'm the
is
way, the
that us
truth,
going
and
out,
life. No
Darren?
one comes before
Don?
me, the Father. Huh?
no,
Oh, it's Darren.
no.
Don. Don went out.
Yeah. Oh, I went out.
You went out. I thought it was me.
Oh, okay. Someone doesn't want me to read this verse right here, but John 14:6. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to me but comes to the Father, but except through
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, it is true.
Sally Forth, my algorithm has me all kinds of messed up. I don't know how to fix it without changing my identity. Ooh, be careful.
All you gotta do is just
uh,
keep searching whatever you want, and that'll change it. Because yeah,
yeah.
I could change
Well,
mine. You search and search, and that's what'll
oh
happen.
yeah,
Change it.
Noel. I have always wondered if skinwalkers do what they do in the astral projection. Oh yeah, they spy. And BCAS is the astral realm satanic. I floated above my body several times. It's terrifying. Yeah, it is terrifying. No, just try to pray and get back into your body because it's like leaving your car unlocked on a bad street. So
Yeah,
try to get back in as soon
yeah,
as you can. You don't want to know what happens.
yeah. Someone
BCAS
steals your
is the
car, you won't
realm.
get back to it.
Yep, it's the astral realm satanic. I have had it happen to me several times. It is terrifying. It sure is. It sure is. Okay, I think that's all I'm gonna read for tonight. We gotta bounce.
Okay.
You want to say later's Darren and Corey?
No, laters, you guys.
Yeah.
Everybody have a good
You
one.
guys later. Thank you guys for listening.
Oh
Thanks
yeah.
for remember and also subscribe. I'll say it for you, Darren. Subscribe and join and thumbs up and even make a comment because it all goes on their algorithm.
All right.
Oh yes, thank you.
Ooh, I
All
think there's
right.
another good episode right there, and another good conversation. It's good to talk about stuff like this,
Yeah.
and for people that are listening, thank you for stopping in and listening. Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. Too late.
Alrighty.
Too late. I already said it.
Mm.
Alrighty, guys. We'll see you around. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Thank you for tuning into Don't Whistle at Night. We've been broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. You guys have a great week. Stretch out, drink your water, and remember, don't whistle at night.
Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of Native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.